What is up, Power Ranger fans? Welcome to Off the Grid, a Power Rangers podcast. I am your host, Jacob Bartley, and this is the show where we talk all things Power Rangers. Even, you can just call it the YouTube channel where we talk all things Power Rangers, and that could be in the world of television, movies, collectibles, toys, and especially the comics. I do review every single Power Rangers comic released on this YouTube channel the day they come out. But today, we're going to be talking some TV. We're going to be talking Power Rangers Dino Fury, the newest season of Power Rangers, the last one I guess it's the last era of the Saban era in a way. And it is, even though Hasbro has the rights to it, this season was already set up to come out. And they had a contract with Nickelodeon, all this stuff. So we get the start of a new Power Rangers season nonetheless. Every Power Rangers season has influenced the fandom in one way or another. So you never know. Dino Fury could be one of those ones that everybody loves. And I'll give my thoughts on that in just one second. Just want to wish everybody a happy day, happy time. I know times are tough right now. And in the vein of fandom and this podcast, everybody's going through tough stuff, myself included. And you might see people, not acting sad or doing stuff like with energy and excitement, like me doing this podcast, and wonder, oh, they must be fine. But, my point being is that don't not do the things you love just because things are tough right now. Take care of your priorities. Do the things you love. Things like doing a podcast on something you love, like Power Rangers, for me, helps with these hard times. You shouldn't go away from the things that make you happy when you're struggling. You should embrace them more, as long as they don't get in the way of your well-being. So that's just, I guess, I don't even know where that came from. I just randomly started talking about that. But that's my tip for the day. But yes, like I said, we're going to be talking Power Rangers Dino Fury. If you want to get some off-the-grid merchandise, you can go to tpublic.com. Search for creator Jake Berlin. He designs the graphics for this show. He designs the merchandising material. He designed the logo, which goes onto TeePublic, and then you can buy a sweater, a shirt, a hat, a mug, whatever. Not a hat. They don't have hats. That would be awesome. But yeah, go to tpublic.com. The direct link is in this description. You can check it out there. And usually we talk some news and some toys at the top. There's not much news or new toys because we just had a new wave of Lightning Collection figures announced last week. But I will say, one of those figures is the Tanga Warrior. Those purple bird creatures that in Power Rangers continuity, if you count the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie as continuity, were first appeared in that first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, and they were like his goons. They were his putties. And then they were which doesn't make any sense, right? If you count it as continuity, which they say it's not, because the show kind of contradicts it. When they come back for season 3, they get their ninja powers from Ninjor, which totally disregarded the movie, I guess. But anyways, the first time we saw them was in the movie, and then they continued on in the Power Rangers Mighty Morphin Season 3. The Tanga Warriors, those purple birds. On Hasbro Pulse, which is the website I referenced last week, that figure is completely sold out already. Pre-order. It doesn't come out till August. So what this tells me is this could be one of those figures that are going to be valuable. I didn't order one from Hasbro Plus. Luckily, it's still available on Amazon Prime, so you could probably still pre-order one. And if you pre-order something, you get it for that price guaranteed. So it's $19.99 on Amazon.com, so you can still get a Tanga Warrior. But if it's sold out on Hasbro Pulse, it's likely that figure is going to be hard to get in a few months here, or a few weeks, or by next week. Who knows? But yes, so if you do want... what's weird? I wasn't sure if I wanted to get a Tanga Warrior. I did because it's so unique and we never had a legitimate figure. But once I saw that it was sold out on Hasbro Pulse, I immediately ordered one from Amazon. So I guess, you want what everybody else wants. I guess that's a mental thing. But yes, let's get into it. Power Rangers Dino Fury Episode 1. We have a new season of Power Rangers. And I'm reviewing it on Wednesday because that's the release time of my show weekly. But the Power Rangers shows premiere on Saturday mornings. I felt like a kid again, honestly, when I woke up in the morning and I realized, oh shoot, this is the premiere day for Power Rangers Dino Fury. I felt like a little kid again starting my Saturday cartoons or my Saturday Power Rangers. So that was kind of cool. But anyways, I'm wondering, should I review Dino Fury on the day of, like on Saturday, or should I just review it on Wednesdays? I don't know. If anybody has some input on that, let me know your thoughts. I mean, obviously the benefit of reviewing on Saturday probably maximizes exposure because at that time there's not a ton of reviews out, but by Wednesday everybody's reviewed it who would review it. So interesting. I don't know. I'm torn because when there's not comics, though, there's not something really to talk about. There's not much to talk about unless I create editorial material. So if I did those Saturday episodes, I might not do Wednesday episodes while the show's running unless a comic comes out. I don't know. If anybody has some advice on that, let me know in the comment section. But for now, for the foreseeable future, until I change my mind, which might be next week, I'm reviewing it today on Wednesday. So yes, Dino Fury Episode 1 called Destination Dinohenge. Now I reviewed the intro and the song last week. Not a big fan of the intro. That didn't change when I watched it with the actual episode. It's okay. It just sounds just like the Beast Morphers one to me, to be honest, where it's like, okay, some lyrics, some upbeat music, and then just say Go Go Power Rangers over and over again. Fine, I guess they're going to do that every time now. But regardless of that, look, overall, this episode is not the worst episode, pilot episode of a season that I've seen for Power Rangers. And I say that because there's some terrible seasons of Power Rangers, some terrible first episodes of Power Rangers seasons. And this one's not bad. Now look, like I said before in the past, I don't hold Power Rangers, the show that airs on Nickelodeon, I don't hold that to very much high standards. But when I've seen great Power Ranger seasons, and I know that there's a capability to make very quality shows with what kind of budget they get, I am disappointed when something very much sucks. I don't think this first episode of Dino Fury sucked. And honestly, I'm relieved. And that's a surprise because I almost kind of expected it to suck. And look, it's not great either. It's no, like, the first episode of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy is awesome. First episode of Power Rangers in Space is awesome. Even the first episode of Mighty Morphin is awesome. But this one's decent. And I'm okay with that at this point. So the main thing, obviously, is the three main characters, or the three Rangers for now. We're going to get some more Rangers later, I'm assuming. But we have Zato, who is this ancient alien from 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs were still around. And he's the Red Ranger. We have Amelia, who's the Pink Ranger, who's a kind of a reporter but works for this company that's like a YouTube channel called Buzz Blast. That's how they kind of portrayed it. It's like a social media outlet. Well, not a social media outlet, but it's a social media company that like does YouTube reviews and things like that. Like an entertainment reporting company called Buzz Blast. So she kind of works for that. And then we have Ollie, who she meets in the forest, who is the son of a archaeologist. His mom is an archaeologist. So those are our three main characters. And we meet Amelia at the beginning. And I liked her. She's bubbly. She's like very innocent and nerdy. And that was cool. I mean, even though Ollie is the son of the archaeologist, I feel like she's our nerdy smart character in a way. But maybe Ollie's pretty smart too because he grew up around his mom and stuff. But yeah, introduction to the episode opens with Amelia. Cool introduction. I liked her. She's very upbeat. Nothing special yet, but cool character. Then we meet Ollie. Typical introduction, just nothing special about him at first. But I did like, we meet his mom shortly after that. I did like his mom. Very cool that he travels the world with his mom and explores ancient artifacts and things like that. Very modern, like Indiana Jones mom. So that was cool. Overall, like, you get the feel of the show at this point. By the time you get to them all talking in the forest and the ranger comes up and tells the mom that she needs to come, file a report because they're not supposed to be in this forest. So at that point, you got to get the feel for the show. And while it's always still childish, every episode, all Power Rangers is childish. I mean, for lack of a better way of explaining it, you're not going to get a majority of adults to watch this kind of show. That being said, there's episodes of Power Rangers, like even Beast Morphers, right? Which I've only seen season 1. I'm going to watch season 2, but I'm reviewing Dino Fury because it's new. When Beast Morphers was running, I was in school and I wasn't able to review it as much. But now I'm going to stay consistent with this because it's just the new thing coming out. And you never know. Maybe Dino Fury becomes one of those seasons we love, like Time Force. Who knows? But this wasn't as cheesy as it possibly could be. Like I wrote in my notes, still childish, but limited cheesiness. Because we've seen how bad things can get. But like Beast Morphers, they have the brother and the sister characters, the ones who hang out at the lab, and they're kind of like the Bulk and Skull of Beast Morphers. Like, we don't need another Bulk and Skull. The Bulk and Skull was a negative of the first couple seasons of Mighty Morphin. Even though I love them, they're nostalgic, and they do have their redeemable moments. I love them. I actually really like them in Power Rangers Zeo and in Power Rangers in Space. Like, they actually were a lot better of characters. And they weren't just there for the cheap laugh. And that's what Betty and her brother were in Beast Morphers. There's none of that here. I mean, yeah, Amelia's a little goofy, but you got to have some of that in Power Rangers. And so I appreciate that. It's limited. It's not... Kids aren't stupid. You don't have to bring that Bulk and Skullness into it every time. So shortly after this moment where the mom goes away, we meet Void Knight, who was his name, Void Knight, and we don't know at first, but he kind of has the armor on of the ancient warriors that we see that Zato is fighting with. And later on, when they face each other, he's like, where'd you get that armor? So that's interesting. But Void Knight is basically searching for this energy signal that he keeps, that he's monitoring, and he opens up this underground lair. And of course, there's an underground lair. Like, almost all the seasons have an underground lair. And we go down here. We see him. He's looking for this energy signal, and that's when we meet Solon. I don't know how to pronounce it. I forget, but Solon, Solon. And this is the cyborg dinosaur. So this is like our alpha character, the one who hangs out in the lab, is probably going to be handling all of the technology type of stuff. And I mean, I forget the name of the type of dinosaur they called her or him. I think it's a her. But basically, it's a cyborg dinosaur, so there are robotic elements to it. And Solon is trying to get Zato to wake up while this guy is lurking around. And of course, the bravest people in the world, Amelia and Ollie, they go down into this underground dungeon where the bad guy went, which I'm like, okay, these are like 20-year-olds, and they're super brave. If I saw that, look, I'm not an archaeologist, I'm not a researcher, so I don't have that desire to I have to discover something. And maybe there's an argument to be made, if you're a scientist or a researcher, you're obligated to go and follow Void Knight down into the hole. Not me. I would have been gotten the hell out of there, and I'm 10 years older than these kids, which is just like, it's kind of like a horror movie. Like, what are you doing? Don't go in there. But we know it's a kid's show. It's Power Rangers. They're not in any trouble, real trouble. So we see them go down there, and they're kind of watching the stuff go on. Solon's trying to wake up Zato, and they're trying to find this, and Zato's trying to find this energy source. And so then that's when Void Knight is confronting Solon, and they're kind of like, she's trying to get Zato to wake up, and he's going to swing his sword at him. But then Ollie, and look, this completely changed my mind on Ollie, which is a good thing. And he comes in, he grabbed one of the swords, and he blocks him. He's like, leave him alone. And then Amelia shoots him with the electric net that she shot Ollie with earlier. And look, boom, bravery. They're worthy. And to me, it's like, I like to think that the Power Ranger powers are like Thor's hammer. Like, not just anybody can be a Power Ranger. You have to be worthy. So to me, this was them showing their bravery. Obviously, they were trying to help. And they fight Void Knight and the henchmen, which are on the good guy side normally, but Void Knight was able to get control of this thing that controls them. So they're fighting the henchmen, they're fighting Void Knight, and then one thing that's cool though, what I really appreciated was, because there's so many characters in Power Rangers, like the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? Most of them did karate. I mean, Billy was super smart, but obviously when they get their powers, they have super strength, speed, all that stuff. So they're fine when they're out on the battlefield. But we've seen characters fighting without their suits on, and they're able to fight. I love this line, and even though I don't have too much faith in the writers of this show, I do appreciate that they take a moment for Amelia to say, "Oh, I took 5 years of karate," and then Ollie says, "So did I," and fencing. So at least there's some background to their ability for combat, hand-to-hand combat. So that was cool. And look, he's using a sword, makes sense. They're fighting these guys. Awesome. It's not that hard. That's all it takes. Give just one line, 2 lines, and you set up, okay, maybe it's believable that they're down here fighting and that they become Power Rangers. So at some point, they get, the cyborg dinosaur throws them some morphers, and they morph. And this is one of my pet peeves in Power Rangers, and they didn't fix it in this show. And there's some where they handle it very, very well. Like, I believe Ninja Steel handled it very well. They were like, what the hell? Like, what is this? Like, oh my, what's going on? And a lot of times they're like, oh, woohoo, we're Power Rangers. Like, any real person would be freaking the hell out. They'd be like, what the hell? Like, but I guess you're in the middle of battle. What are you supposed to do? But anyways, they put them on, and they're like, oh, awesome, we're Power Rangers. And it's just like, okay, I know you're in the middle of battle, but I think I need a more realistic human reaction to that. So I really appreciate it when they do actually give me that. Yes, so the Red Ranger wakes up, then he starts fighting. He's like, why are my guys fighting me? And they start fighting, but then there's this crate where that energy signal's coming from, that energy source. And I guess these are called the Sporks. They're like these little balls that look alive, and in them are monsters. So here's where all our monsters are going to come from all season long, which they kind of set up. And the crate kind of falls during the battle, and they all escape, and then Void Knight goes out to try to get them, and one of them fell to the ground, and it hatches, and it's a monster, and then he's like, let's go find the rest. Boom. So that's going to be our villain. One of our villains is Void Knight, and rather than a new monster being created by Finster and Rita every week, it's going to be probably one of these Sporks hatching every week, which is cool. I mean, I don't need a monster created every week, or like somebody's printer to be turned into a monster every week. These are alien beings that are just locked in these eggs and they hatch. Cool. I can deal with that. But this is where this episode got cool. is the flash where when Zato tells his flashback story. Well, first of all, he takes off his helmet and he has tentacles on his head like this. Honestly, I don't know if I could look at those tentacles all season long. They look kind of weird. I'm not in love with the look of Zato without his suit on. Doesn't ruin the show for me, but I'm hoping like they have to go out in public and he's able to just disguise himself. Basically make him look exactly the same but without the tentacles, like the human version of that actor. I'm guessing that's what they're going to do because they're not just going to, some of the part of Power Rangers is like them having a social life and everything. So I'm guessing he's going to go out into the world and try to blend in, and he's not going to have those tentacles on his head. He'll just disguise them at times, but then they'll come back. That's what I'm hoping for. And apparently he has the ability to touch somebody and kind of know who they are and know their whole entire, inner self. But here's where this episode gets cool. He tells the story about 65 million years ago. These sporks attacked his planet. They destroyed his planet. Then they headed towards Earth. Him and his home planet was, I wrote it down here. Yeah, he was in stasis for 65 million years. Oh, Rafcon. Rafcon is his planet. So these Knights of Rafcon, they follow the sporks to Earth and they battle the sporks with the dinosaurs, which that was awesome. You see Zato riding a dinosaur into battle, and the dinosaurs are defending their planet because they were the live beings at the time. That's like if aliens attacked Earth, human beings would have to defend the planet. And this is during the dinosaur era. Dinosaurs were defending their planet, which was kind of cool, and fighting with these knights. And basically, Zato says they ended up winning, but the Rangers were just lost. And I think Void Knight is one of his old knight buddies, because he says, "Where'd you get that armor?" And it looks similar to their armor. So I think Void Knight is one of his buddies, and I think we're gonna find out what happened to the rest of them, because he doesn't say they all died. He says they were all lost, and maybe they weren't in stasis like he was, and they did die just over time. And then what everybody's freaking out about on the internet, a lot of people are talking about, is we get the Morphin Masters. So the Morphin Masters, during this flashback, before they defeat the Sporix, are able to, they give them their powers. They turn these dinosaurs into stone, which then give these guys their powers. And now they're the Dino Fury Rangers, joined them with the spirit of the dinosaurs. And then Zato's like, but they're so big. And then the Morphin Masters are like, then we'll give you powerful weapons, and they get the Zords. And and then it's kind of like he tells them, my mission was to, destroy the Sporix and keep them from destroying other planets, and I failed today, and now we got to go get them. And it kind of ends. Very simple, straightforward, to the point episode. Look, I'm overall positive about this episode because all I'm hoping for is don't suck. From then, if it doesn't suck, it could end up being a really good season. So that's what I'm hoping for. I like the setup so far. I don't dislike any character. Like, regardless of the tentacles, I like the three Rangers. I like the cyborg dinosaur is not super cheesy. It's pretty funny. There's no Bulk and Skull type characters. The villain's like not bad, and Void Knight is cool. He's no Lord Zed or anything like that, but he's not bad. And we're always gonna have cheesy looking monsters in the show, so you can't get rid of that. But overall, decent. I did say I was gonna start giving all my comic reviews and TV review, any type of review, anything. I'll give the toys a review score, or any movies in the future, out of 5 power coins. And if they get a 6 power coin, it's like they broke the scale. It's over 100%. Man, this show, out of 5 power coins, this episode, man, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 power coins. There we go. I was gonna say 2.5 out of 5 power coins, but I'll go a little bit higher. We'll go 3 power coins out of 5. For what it is, wasn't bad. I liked it. Tuning in next week. And look, my favorite thing about Power Rangers is the mythology. And this is playing really cool with the mythology, with the Morphin Masters, with these Rangers being around 65 million years ago. And it all kind of ties in, with the Power Rangers lore. So when you touch on mythology like that, I'm going to be pretty interested. Also, I want to talk about the suits. The suits are okay. They're not bad. I don't hate them. There's suits that I love. There's suits that I think are decent. And there's suits that are absolutely ugly. These fall somewhere in the around decent. They're okay. They're not bad. They're actually a little bit above decent, but they're okay. But yes, just like this episode, pretty okay. Not mad. But yeah, let's see what happens next week. And of course, I'm going to be reviewing these episodes every week, whether it's on a Saturday or on Wednesday like normal. But I'm also going to be reviewing the comics. Those come out monthly, and there's 2 runs right now, and they usually come out back-to-back each month. But I did pick up Power Rangers Soul of the Dragon, which was done written by Kyle Higgins, who was the writer of Shattered Grid. And I haven't read that yet. So one of these episodes, once I finish Soul of the Dragon, I'm gonna review that, and I'm gonna get that Time Force one, because these are some of the things that I've missed. I've read every single issue of the comics, but I haven't read these side ones that came out, like Soul of the Dragon and like the Time Force one that came out. So I will be reviewing those. But for the time being, since we got this new TV show, Dino Fury, I'm going to be talking about that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Again, I am Jacob Bartley, the host and creator of Off the Grid, a Power Rangers podcast. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want any future coverage on all things Power Rangers. Like I said, news, toys, comics, collectibles, revisiting the old TV shows, watching the new TV shows, movies, anything going on in the world of Power Rangers. We're going to be talking about it. Please subscribe. See you all next week. Until then, may the power protect you.